as the Global South, as African countries. They actually defeated the OECD model that has been there for years. And now we are towards having a total UN tax reform.
Yeah.
What is so difficult in Africans coming together and speaking in one voice? Then, as we say, there is a follow-up to everything. As we do this, can we ensure that the people know exactly what we are into, so that people don't begin to question? I saw yesterday a former vice president and one of the longest serving foreign ministers in this country, the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka's remarks. You know, I know he's playing opposition politics, but one thing that I asked myself, what would have Raila said? You know, you have to know when to expose yourself, when to retreat, when to attack, and when to speak positive of your nation. All said and done, as a country, we must be proud that this is happening here. We must get excited that this is actually happening. Our country is being recalibrated, repositioned. We are signing new deals, new investments, but we must put the government to task in following up every other deal. Yes, we know some of these things will not be immediate. The immediate cup of coffee, go to a cafe. But for this, it will take time. 3, 4, 5 years later, we will begin to see benefits. Those benefits will only come if we follow through.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So, Dr. at the end of the day, we are waiting to see what's going to happen. Your expectations?
According to me, the key word here is measurable impact. I'm not expecting much, or I'm at a position of not expecting, because when you have high expectations, you get frustrated or embarrassed. And I really want to reserve myself to be more productive to myself. You know, when you peg that the summit is going to solve what I think should be solved, and then when it doesn't happen, then you are going to be broken. You are going to be broken. So I'm trying to be realistic to the fact that, and open-minded. I also don't want to put a lot of pessimism in it. I want to say, if it happens and solves a few of the problems that we are going through as a country, I'll really appreciate, and especially when the young people get an opportunity to put the knowledge they learned into a skill. You know, when you don't practice the knowledge you have learned in school, it means your skills are not, you have not had an opportunity to use your skills.
Yes.
And that is just my humble prayer for starters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Edward, it's not the first time probably you're sitting in a podium. What would you, if you're to sit somewhere there and give 2 minutes to have a presentation, what would you tell the delegates with all the presidents seated there as an African?
I would say, first, this is not going to be different in the sense of where we have come from as a continent. We need to ask ourselves, as we sit in this strategic moment, are we setting the right legacy for the future generations? And if we are going to depart from the Berlin challenge that we had, where the continent was actually partitioned and scrambled, are we going to have Berlin 2 happening in this kind of conversation? So I would be very keen to say that our focus as a country and as a continent needs to look at how we can empower our people by better negotiations.
Okay. All right, so thank you. I mean, this summit is coming at a time that Kenya is also enjoying some warm corner. I must say that we've had so many summits by this year, and last year we've had so many of them. But the implementation, measurable impact, that's what Wanjiku, at the end of the day, Wanjiku in Africa is waiting to see at the end of the day. Gordon Kachola, thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Evelyn Ogendo, thank you so much for joining us. Edward Wanyonyi, asante sana as well. Okay, we are taking a break, but before then, why don't you cross over to Kisumu and talk about the Western Spectrum, more about innovations and basically what's happening in as far as this summit is concerned. And Simon Achola is taking the steering wheel from now. My name is Victor Lu. Good morning.
Well, thank you so much, Victor Olo. It is not a Chola Simon, but Weekly for Cage. And like you mentioned it is the time for Western Spectrum within the Good Morning Kenya show. It is a chilly morning from the lakeside city of Kisumu. But regardless, we'll move on. My name is Weekly for Cage, and it is now time for Western Spectrum.
Sound check. Mic check. 1, 2, sound check. Sound check. Mic check. 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2, sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Mic check. 1, 2, sound. Check. Mic check. Sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Mic.
Microphone testing 1, 2, 3. Clarity check. Sound check 1, 2, 3. We are guided, please, that as we come in, please let's find our sitting areas. We already have our reserved areas on the left. We are guided that the Kenyan delegates, please find your sitting areas on my far left. The Kenyan delegates, find our sitting areas on the far left. The French delegates, kindly find our sitting areas on my far right. Please, those of us who are still standing, we are being requested to be as quickly as possible to settle. The front rows are reserved for our youths. Very few minutes, he will be joining us here. Please, let's be settled, kindly. Those of us who are still standing here, please be seated, please. We are still seeing quite a number of us who are still roaming around and standing. Please be seated, please. Let's be seated, please. A repeat announcement, please, let's be seated, please. Those of us who are still coming in, on my far right, the sitting area reserved for the French delegates. On my far left, the sitting areas reserved for the Kenyan delegates. Let's be seated as quickly as possible. We still have quite a number of us who are still roaming. We are guided, please, to be seated, please. We will make this announcement continuously until All of us are seated, please. We are requested to be seated, please. We repeat and repeat again. Kindly, let's be seated. Thank you for respecting that voice. We are requested to be seated as quickly as possible, please. Kindly, with all due humility, let's be seated. Those of us who may still require the translation gadgets, they are available on our far left. And please, we are guided that at the point of departure, we are requested to leave behind the translation gadgets on the seats at the point of departure. So kindly, let's give space to those of us who are coming in, and please, as you come in, find yourself a sitting area as guided by our protocol officers. Find your sitting areas, please. We still have quite a number of empty seats on the Kenyan delegates, and also quite a number of empty seats on the French delegates. Please, as guided, those labeled seats are reserved for the owners. Please, let's allow the reserved seats to be reserved for the persons labeled. Those of us who are still coming in, please find yourself a sitting area. We still have some sitting areas at the back and at the Kenyan delegates side. So please, let's find our sitting areas.
Check, check.
Check microphone testing. 1, 2, 3. Just ensuring that our systems are okay. 1, 2, 3. Kindly let's be guided to be seated as quickly as possible. On my far left, the Kenyan delegates. On my far right, the French delegates. The middle rows are reserved for the youths. So kindly as we come in, we are requested to be seated as quickly as possible as we await for the arrival of His Excellencies who will be joining us in a few. The French delegates, please find your sitting areas at the right. A quick reminder that we still have our translation gadgets on the left. We still have our translation gadgets on the left. Those of us who still require the translation gadgets, please find them on my left side. Let's also ensure at the point of departure, we leave behind the translation gadgets. At the point of departure, we are requested to leave behind the translation gadgets on the seats. Kindly, those of us who are still roaming around, we are requested to be seated. We still have quite a number of us who are still roaming around. Please, let's be seated. On my far left, the Kenyan delegates. On my far right, the French delegates. Please find your sitting areas. Kindly, with all due humility, those of us who are still roaming, we're requested to be seated. Kindly let's allow the reserved seats to be reserved for the owners. In a few, our guests, His Excellency the French President and His Excellency the Kenyan President will be joining us in a few. And thereafter, we will begin our program officially. In the meantime, DJ, kindly give us some background music as we welcome our delegates who are coming in. DJ, please. A kind reminder, those of us who are still standing, please, let's all find our sitting areas. The far right reserved for the French delegates, the far left reserved for the Kenyan delegates, the middle rows reserved for the youths. We will continue making these announcements until each one of us is finally settled. Kindly, those of us who are still outside, let's hasten the process of admissions to the plenary. And let's all be settled as quickly as possible. DJ, kindly give us some background music as we continue ushering in the delegates. purely meant for the youth forum. Kindly, if you're not a permanent secretary, there are reserved seats for the PSS. Please allow the PSS to have their seats reserved. The seats that have been written and inscribed very well reserved, they have been reserved for the owners. Please, let's allow the owners to have their seats. We are still reminded that we are supposed to be settled. Those of us who do not have their sitting areas, kindly remember that this venue was strictly reserved for the youth forum. We also requested that those of us who are just attendees, please, if your name was not in the list of those who are supposed to be in this venue, you are guided to find your venue at the business forum. Please, with all due humility, that is a very kind reminder. Those of us who are in and are not supposed to be here, please, we still have another venue at the Jomo Kenyatta Library. Kindly confirm that you are in the right venue. This is specifically meant for the youth forum. We are also still reminded that we have some translation gadgets. Please ensure that you have your translation gadgets with you. And at the point of departure, you are reminded to leave it at your seat. We still have quite a number of us who are still standing and roaming around. Please be guided that we are supposed to be seated. Find your sitting areas. And please sit. Those of us who still have some requests for the translation gadgets, we have our officers going round. Please ensure you have your translation gadget. At the point of departure, please ensure that you leave the translation gadget behind. A very kind request, ensure you are also in the right forum. This is the youth forum. We also have the business forum reserved at the Jomo Kenyatta Library. This is meant for the youth forum. DJ, thank you. I'm guided that we still have quite a number of us with badges written attendees. Please, if you have your badge written attendees, please kindly allow the owners of the seats to be seated. Those of us with the badges written attendees are not supposed to be seated, please. Those of us with the badges written attendees are not supposed to be seated, please. Kindly, DJ, thank you. Allow me to make these specific announcements because we still have quite a number of us who are supposed to be attending the business forum in a separate venue at the Jomo Kenyatta Library. Please ensure that your badge is meant for this youth forum. This is specifically meant for the youth forum. Please ensure that you are in the right venue. Those of us who are supposed to be at the business forum, please find your way to the next venue, which is meant for the business forum at the Jomo Kenyatta Library. This one is specifically meant for the youth forum. Those of us with badges written attendees, your seats were not reserved. Please, those of us with badges written attendees, find your way out, please, with all due humility. You are not supposed to be seated. Those of us with attendees badges. Please, if you are not supposed to be in this venue, we still have another venue at the Jomo Kenyatta Library meant for the business forum. So please, we are guided that ensure you are in the right venue. This venue is meant for the youth forum. Please. Thank you so much, those of us who are still coming in. Please find your sitting areas. We are guided that the Kenyan delegates are sitting on my far left. The French delegates are sitting on my far right. We are also guided that we need to ensure that we are in the right venue because this venue is meant for the youth forum and the other venue is meant for the business forum. kindly welcome us to this auspicious occasion.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour. Good morning. Good morning. Bonjour. My name is Mariam. I'll be your MC for the day. So just as we've been asked by Dan, I will ask anyone still standing to take a seat. And just to get to know you a little bit, anyone who is in Nairobi for the very first time, please show me by a show of hands. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Karibuni Nairobi. Welcome. Anyone who has been here before? Anyone who is from Nairobi, actually? Let's go. Okay. Anyone from the African continent? Anywhere across the African continent? Lovely. Anyone from France? Amazing. I love it. We are going to have a really good time and a very brief one. I'll ask all of us to please be silent as we begin the official program of the day. But just before that, I wanted to get to know you a little bit. Has anyone ever heard of the phrase, Africa is a country? Africa is a country. Or Africa is not a country. Anyone heard of that phrase? Okay, I'm going to ask you something. Tell me if it's something that has happened.
This thing comes from, and if you're able to
Time.
this thing came from Nyalenda, where West Speaker came from Nyalenda A and took it to Amazing Grace, and then from Nyalenda A it went, let's say, to Maendeleo, then it went to Nairobi. That is traceability, and you can even know the brand and everything.
On a Saturday morning with music blasting, hands up. Okay, not bad. Has anyone ever found food in a container that looks like it's meant to hold ice cream? Show of hands, okay. Okay.
Kick off.
Has anyone ever been told by an uncle or auntie that they are either too skinny or too fat? Hands up. Quite a few, okay. Has anyone ever thought that they only had maybe 3 career choices? You can be a doctor, an engineer, a pilot, a lawyer. That's it. Hands up. Okay, quite a few, quite a few. I'm seeing some of the common themes, but the idea that Africa is a country is something that we are trying to move away from. I think the band is about to get ready to start, but that's the myth we're trying to break. We are one people, but with so many cultures, so many diversities, and the way we interact with the world is changing. The way we interact with France, the way we interact with Europe is changing, and hopefully this summit will be part of that change. So it's my pleasure to welcome you. I'll give you a more official welcome once the presidents are in the building, but have an amazing time, stay engaged, be ready for a wonderful, short 1 hour, and we will get into the mix of things. The police band is here. I love how they play, so you're in for a treat as well, and you'll get to hear the anthems in just a little bit. But for now, please stay settled in, have a seat, listen in on your earpieces if you do need to get translation, and we'll begin in just a little bit.
Thank you, Mariam. Just a test of the microphones to ensure that our systems are working well. In a few, we are expecting His Excellency, the President of France, His Excellency, the President of Kenya, to be joining us in a few. So kindly let's be settled as quickly as possible. Those of us who are still standing at the French delegates area, please find yourself at sitting areas. Those of us who are at the Kenyan delegates area, please find yourself a sitting area as quickly as possible. We are ensuring that our systems are working well. Microphone 1, 2, microphone testing 1, 2, 3. Those of us who are still coming in, please, we have reserved the sitting area on my far right, meant for the for the French delegates. On my far right, the French delegates. Please find your sitting areas. We have our seats well labeled for those of us who are coming in. On my far left, the Kenyan delegates. kindly, the seats are well labeled, so let's ensure that we sit based on the direction given by the protocol officers. Please, with all due humility, allow the reserved seats to be reserved for the honors. We already have the presidential escort band with us. They are going to give us some interludes as we await for the arrival of His Excellencies, who will be joining us in a few. At their arrivals, we will all be requested to be upstanding. His Excellencies will find their way on the stage. We will have the national anthems and thereafter proceed with the program. I believe we are ready and set to go. Those of us who are still finding our way in, please find your sitting areas. Ensure you are in the right forum. This is particularly meant for the youth forum. The other forum, that is the library forum, is meant for the business forum. I'm still guided that we still have quite a number of us who are standing on my far right and on my far left. You will only be allowed to stand from the third pillar going upwards. Those of us who don't have their sitting areas, please, from the third pillar upwards. From the third pillar upwards. Those of us who are standing on the sides, please be standing from the third pillar upwards, please. The rest of us, please find your sitting areas. I want to welcome the presidential escort band to give us some interludes as we await for the arrival of His Excellencies, who will be joining us in a few. Presidential escort band, if we are ready, kindly give us some morning interludes as we await for the official start of the meeting. Presidential escort band.
One, two, one, two, one, two, Africa.
Kenyan Presidential Escort Band as they give us some morning interludes as we await for the arrival of His Excellencies who are joining us in a few. We are still guided that those of us who are still standing, please, from the third pillar, stand to the far end. Okay. Those of us who are still finding our way in, the French delegates on our right, the Kenyan delegates on the left. I'll still request the Presidential Escort Band to give us some
Bonjour, mesdames, messieurs, je m'appelle Alain Aoko. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Africa Forward Summit. My name is Alan Aoko. You are watching us live from the University of Nairobi, where we have the Africa Forward Summit just taking off right now, and we can even confirm that our own President William Ruto is here with us at the UN grounds, just arriving to do his duty of hosting and welcoming the delegates here. Remember, the Africa Forward Summit is a huge summit structured upon several agenda, and we do have up to 32 heads of state and government just to come and deliberate on issues related to the French-Africa relationship. The Africa Forward Summit is an Africa-France partnership for innovation and growth being held here in Nairobi, and it will be today and tomorrow, the 12th of May 2026. The summit is co-hosted by Kenya and the French Republic. The summit aims to demonstrate the African continent's innovation capacity and affirm a shared commitment to developing common, mutually beneficial solutions based on effective multilateralism and a spirit of transformative partnership. Here at the University of Nairobi, I can confirm that delegates are already seated at the main plenary hall, which is the Taifa Hall. We do have other events surrounding the summit. We have one at the library, the Jomo Kenyatta Library. It is the business forum, which is also happening concurrently from the main plenary session here at Taifa Hall where we are. This is the place where the president will actually come in and also welcome the French president, Emmanuel Macron, who is in the country, arrived yesterday, was received at State House Nairobi, and is also going to make his way here very soon. And we will also witness a few activities before they actually enter the hall here, where the presidential band is entertaining the guests just before the main guests enter the plenary hall. Now remember, this summit represents a significant opportunity for a shift to a more balanced, equitable, and mutually respectful partnership. And it is meant to show the transformative partnership that is sustainable and is developing in Africa's urgency in addressing pressing emerging regional and global challenges. Of course, we are anchored on several themes here in this summit, one of them being energy transition and green industrialization. These are some of the very important issues that have brought all these people together, all the stakeholders, all the CEOs of companies and state agencies of many other countries further afield. We also have the reform on the international financial architecture, which our viewers would know Dr. William Ruto has been advocating for, to reform the financial architecture to better mobilize private capital in a more equitable way, rather than giving Africa a different kind of rating, which protagonists say is unfair. We also have the blue economy as a serious thematic option here, where strategic priorities in maritime governance and environmental security will be looked at. We also have sustainable agriculture that will be talked about here, where we will strengthen multi-stakeholder partnerships to support the transition towards productive, sustainable, and resilient food systems in Africa. We do have 800 meetings that are expected in this forum. We did find the head of the Business France agency who spoke to us and told us that they're expecting 800 meetings with small and large businesses who are looking to strike deals in these sectors, in sustainable agriculture, in technology, in energy transition, in AI and digital technologies, in resilient health systems, and so on and so forth. If you have a startup and you are looking to deal make, this is probably the historic summit for you. This is the very first time such a summit is being held in an English speaking country, with the French coming in. And I can confirm to you, so far the presidents that we have seen who are around the vicinity, we do have also other presidents who are invited and did come since yesterday. We did see the president of Cote d'Ivoire was here as well, the Gabonese president, we have the president from Liberia as well, and many others who will also attend this very summit, which is historic. And as you know, Kenya is the cradle of mankind and also the Africa's Silicon Savannah, and many companies are looking to enter this continent through East Africa as a gateway, and naturally Kenya has positioned itself as a place where they can gain the entry point. The final thematic area is peace and security, where at the plenary sessions here we will deliberate on peace and security issues in support of African mediation efforts and the actions of the African Union in this very historic event here. Remember, as I mentioned earlier, this is day one, and day one is happening at the University of Nairobi. We do have day two, which is tomorrow, the summit itself, which will happen at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi. There, the heads of state, the African Union, 30 plus presidents and CEOs will have plenaries, roundtables, and we'll even have the Nairobi Declaration that is going to culminate in a closing communique at the KICC. But here at day one, here at the University of Nairobi, we have around 1,500 business leaders, entrepreneurs, and investors in business-to-business matchmaking deals looked into. We have also workshops and networking here at the University of Nairobi. If you come to these grounds, it is very impressive. It has been divided into several centers. We have other plenary areas, like I said earlier, the Business Forum, which is at the Jomo Kenyatta Library, where business deals are said to be struck there, and we also have business leaders who will give their statements, will give their talks there, and give a status of how business is in Africa and beyond. That is where some sort of elevator pitches will happen in that section there at the Business Forum at the Jomo Kenyatta Library in the University of Nairobi. So far, what's happening now is delegates are just settling in. We do have the Kenya Police Band also just entertaining the delegates that are around. We expect the president to enter the plenary hall at any moment, and we are also looking forward to other delegates still filing through. Security is very tight, I should mention this. Only accredited individuals are allowed in several sections of these grounds. Delegates have different kind of passes. Only specific passes to the plenary hall here in Taifa Hall are allowed in this hall, and other badges are allowed in the business forum. And if you were trying to make your way to this venue, it is only if you are accredited for this particular forum. Otherwise, there is very tight security all the way from University Way to Harituku Road, which has been cordoned off for delegates. That is the VIP entrance for delegates. Other members of the public are entering from the University Way side, but only accredited members of the public are being allowed inside to witness this historic summit here at the University of Nairobi today, as we wait for every other eventuality to unfold here. And remember, this summit is happening in Kenya for the very first time. It has not happened in an English-speaking country ever before, and Kenya is looking to also angle itself to be a major destination for business deals, conferencing, and all that is pertaining to being the Silicon Savannah that it has made itself to be. We do have a very compact, a very condensed program coming in through this plenary hall. Remember, this Taifa Hall is now holding a youth forum. That's why you may see some youth seated at the stage there. These are youth representatives. We have at the main stage the youth forum happening, and which will also come in after the opening ceremony here at the main stage. We also have a high-level youth engagement sequence that's supposed to happen at this time, where youth leaders and entrepreneurs and ministers are supposed to, speak and give their sentiments to the delegates. We also have lined up a dynamic CEO and business leader talks, where we have various group CEOs talking about the agro industry, fertilizers, logistics, manufacturing, digital infrastructure, skills, energy, entrepreneurship. These are topics that are very pertinent to industrialization and also where many youth are involved in. We also have lined up some high-level cultural and creative industries presidential sequences that are going to happen here at the main stage. And of course, we do expect presidential remarks on cultural and creative industries, where we'll have Dr. William Ruto, the President of Kenya, and Emmanuel Macron, the President of the French Republic, who will actually give his keynote address at that time. Here we'll also have a high-level dialogue as a driver of economic transformation, soft power, and Africa-France cooperation. That will be, of course, President Macron, who is going to deliberate on that. And then also we'll have a showcasing of African creative champions in film, music, fashion, gaming, heritage, and digital content. We'll have various artists who are going to speak to that as well. And then we'll also have ministerial meeting on peace and security later in this hall. We also have some high-level, ministerial level strategic dialogue on UN Security Council reform. Remember, we have very high-level UN leadership here represented in the country, of course, who are going to talk about the strategic, the security situation around the world and council reform and the use of a veto. We also have a pre-summit preparatory session ahead of the day 2 activities, and that one will be taken over by the African Union Commission that will take us through that session. And in the afternoon, we do have high-level dialogues where we'll also have sports in Africa. I know you've noticed the angle of these activities today. It's leaning more on creatives and art and what many for a long time have not really taken as mainstream. These days, creatives and sports are very, very serious and economic drivers of growth, and that's why we'll have high-level dialogues on the same. We'll have two themes: Africa as a sports field serving a sustainable development, and also Africa as a field of investment, innovation, and growth through sport. Here we'll have various ministers of sport speaking. We also expect our very own Minister for Sport to speak. Right now, I think it's only fair that we also listen in to what is happening here at the plenary session as we wait for other activities to happen here at the Taifa Hall in the University of Nairobi. Let's listen in to what delegates are talking about here at the main plenary hall. Welcome.
This, by 2030, is actually expected as $1 trillion industry for Africa. So we clock that.
She said, clock it if you think agriculture is going to be $1 trillion industry. Yeah, clock it. There we go. I absolutely agree. Agribusiness, the fact that we used to think of agriculture as something that is done in rural areas or is done by older folks. And it's like, no, essentially you have to feed the continent one way or the other. So I'm really interested in knowing actually how in Zambia we're turning agribusiness into $1 billion trillion industry. But thank you so much for engaging with me. I'll hand over to the police band for just one song, And then when we come back, we'll have the presidents in the room, and we can actually begin the program of the day. There's some amazing panels, one around AI and innovation, which again, for sure, billion-dollar industry. But how do we make sure that it is a billion-dollar industry that works for us, right? We're not just like the cog that's moving the wheel and making nothing out of it. And then we'll also talk about how to platform Africa on a global stage. What do African voices look like on a global stage? There's Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's TED Talk, The Danger of a Single Story. I know several people here are familiar with it, right? Yeah. So who's telling the story? How are they telling it? How do we make sure that we have ownership of our narratives? Those will be President Ruto and President Macron's panels. But before that, let me hand over to the police band.
You are listening to the Kenya Police National Band just entertaining delegates here at the University of Nairobi, which is hosting the Africa Forward Summit 2026. We are live here on KBC Channel 1, just giving you an all-rounded, spherical, direct view of what is happening here, where we expect very high-level delegations, including heads of state and government, to come under the high patronage of President Emmanuel Macron and President Dr. William Ruto, who co-organized this event, which is called Africa Forward, and it is themed Inspire and Connect Africa. And of course, it is supposed to bring together more than 1,500 economic and institutional leaders from Africa and France here at the University of Nairobi today. Of course, speaking about serious international issues, where we'll also talk about the financial architecture, which has been a very big thorn on the flesh of African states. We are waiting for the program to proceed, and as earlier mentioned, we will have a lot of thematic areas to be touched on. But at this specific area, at Taifa Hall at the University of Nairobi, we have the Youth Engagement Forum that is supposed to take place because, of course, youths are heavily involved in entrepreneurship, in the digital transformation space, in agri-tech, and these are some of the areas that, in fact, many businesses are looking to engage in and make some deals. You can imagine the startups and the small businesses looking to link with the French companies. Already in Kenya alone, we have about 140 French companies that are based here, from agriculture to retail to technology, to agribusiness. All of them are here, and of course there are others that are looking at Kenya as a stepping point into the continent and are looking to come into the space by connecting with the various CEOs and agencies to take advantage of this. And what we can tell you right now is that President Emmanuel Macron has actually entered the premises. He's making his way through the UN grounds. He's arrived. He's about to just pass through the main entrance of the University of Nairobi, Akwe, where there is a model building of the engineering complex, the proposed engineering complex of the University of Nairobi, which is co-funded by the French aid agency. Therefore, he's going to be shown the model. He's just making his way inside, greeting a few delegates on the way. Of course, the pictures are going to come to you very, very soon if they're not there yet. Yes, he is in the premises. Now we can confirm to you Dr. President William Ruto and President Emmanuel Macron are now both in the University of Nairobi grounds, and therefore it means that the program is about to accelerate at this point, since the two co-hosts are now available. We can also see a lot of press now. Yes, we can see Dr. William Ruto and Emmanuel Macron now looking at the engineering complex model, the proposed engineering complex model. Just taking a look at them and looking at the various amenities that the complex will encompass. Dr. William Ruto is just showing Emmanuel Macron how the complex will eventually be after it is completed. The proposed engineering and science complex, that is how it's being called. It is going to be built under the University of Nairobi and co-financed with the government of Kenya and a French aid agency. That is where the presidents are now at this point. We believe after that the two presidents will head to a tree planting exercise just in the grounds. If you know the University of Nairobi very well, it's at the Chandarana grounds, just next to the Taifa Hall, where we actually will have the presidents come in later and also give their address. Emmanuel Macron is supposed to give his keynote address here at the Taifa Hall. And the program so far is moving in that order. Here at the main stage, as we wait for the two presidents to look at the model. On your screens, you can see President Emmanuel Macron and Dr. William Ruto, including also the Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, being taken through the proposed engineering and science complex, being shown the various amenities there that will be showcased once the project is completed. And you can see they're paying very keen attention to see how this is going to be transformative, especially for the youth of this country. The people on the STEM subjects here in the country are set to benefit from such a project. And of course, it also shows the kind of relationship we do have with the French Republic, as the French Republic looks to also diversify its influence around the globe. The issue of friendship in partnership in equal footing, that is even what brought about the Africa Forward Summit, which is themed as the Africa-France Partnership for Innovation and Growth Summit. So you will hear a lot of issues of innovation and growth and economic growth being said here at the summit, all the way from artificial intelligence to technology to agribusiness to also peace and security, which is essential for the growth of these sectors. We'll also talk about manufacturing. There will be talk about as I said earlier, the financial architecture of how Africa can access capital. Remember, Africa has unfortunately been in the back footing when it comes to financing of its projects and growth and financing budgets, where many financial institutions further afield give Africa a different rating from the rest of the world, giving Africa a higher risk rating, which means payback of loans become more expensive for African countries. Those are some of the topics that will be talked about here at the Africa Summit. And this morning we will be looking to also talk about the dynamic agro industry and how we can do digital infrastructure and how we can do, of course, the issue of job creation, skills and entrepreneurship. How can our youth get these skills to proceed and make something out of themselves using digital skills, for example, high-skilled youth to venture into their own and build up to the level of regional and also international. We do have a lot of startups in this region, and remember, Kenya is ranked very highly when it comes to tech, and it is the Silicon Savannah, and many will come into this country to understand how is it that Kenya leads in digital innovation. Speak of M-Pesa, speak of banking and finance, digital banking and finance, fintechs. It is an awe for the rest of the world to understand how Kenya does this, and to even see that the youth of Kenya are the ones building these companies. And the French will also look to see how they can integrate this into the French ecosystem. Yesterday, KBC Channel 1 was able to speak to some of the leaders who lead the business sector in France, and they said they're very interested to give Kenyan companies incentives in France, talking about the nuclear energy that France has, which means and translates to lower cost of production. If a Kenyan company is looking to manufacture in France, then they're looking at one of the most cheapest energy costs in Europe. And the business leaders told us that it will be one of the many incentives that France is willing to give Kenyan entrepreneurs and business leaders once there's a reciprocal partnership between France and Kenya. And we continue to see President Dr. William Ruto and President of France, Emmanuel Macron, just been shown the model of the engineering and science complex. The proposed complex is going to be under the University of Nairobi, and they're just talking about how probably this is going to be an opportunity for all of us. It is interesting to note that currently STEM is very strong in this part of the world, and we're looking at enrolling more students into this sector. This can lead to strengthened science courses, strengthened industries, strengthened businesses in that sector that the president has always talked about, that we do need a lot of us who can be able to engineer ourselves into these courses to build a stronger country. And remember, as we balance the creative industry and also the STEM industries just in the same republic. And of course, remember, as I said earlier, today we are going to talk about the creative industry, arts, music, film. That will be in the agenda actually in this plenary hall at the Taifa Hall later. We will also talk about several ministerial sports demonstrations. We will have sports ministers from all over the continent and beyond coming together to speak about what they are doing to make sure sports and the creative industry grows in their part of the world. We will also much later, have the two presidents speak. And right now we are seeing that the national anthem will also be cued in a bit later when the two presidents come into the Taifa Hall. We are seeing the Kenya Police National Band still entertaining delegates in the Taifa Hall as our presidents continue asking several questions about this model. You might wonder how come they are still there now, but this is a serious issue. They're probably investigating and asking about the complex in a very high level manner, just to be sure that this is something that is actually going to happen and will benefit both our countries. It's a very monumental moment at this time to look at the engineering and sports complex. Engineering and science complex. Now the two presidents are making their way slowly after being shown the model of the complex. They are making their way to the tree planting exercise. We do expect them to do a ceremonial tree planting right here outside the Taifa Hall main stage, just to commemorate the momentous occasion of opening the Africa Forward Summit, the one of its kind, first ever held in an Anglophone country, and Kenya is fortunate to have been chosen to hold this very important event. We have seen several leaders of government as well. We have seen principal secretaries, we've seen CEOs of major companies, director generals of state agencies, not even Kenya alone, but from the rest of Africa and beyond. It's a culmination of minds, captains of industry coming together to deliberate on how best they can move the continent forward. You can feel it, you can feel it, you can feel it's different this time. This time around it's different. Africa is looking to enter the world in a different footing, not from a footing of being disadvantaged, but as an equal partner in economic growth. And that is what they have been looking to do in one shared agenda. Remember, day one will also encompass a business forum where 1,500 businesses are meant to meet and speak on issues, especially on political and industrial conditions for producing more and a better Africa. And we'll also, of course, they will also talk about strategic sectors that strengthen the continent's economic sovereignty. They also look to talk about innovations that boost African competitiveness. We are lucky enough that Kenya is already known for innovation and competitiveness in that sector. So others are coming to learn about how Kenya does it. We'll also talk about how we can have stronger alliances and mobilize funds essential for collective success. Right now, we continue to see delegates entering the Taifa Hall plenary hall. Several members of government, high-level leaders from the French government coming in. We can also see several leaders from the continent and beyond. Right now, the presidents are entering the Taifa Hall. As you can see, the delegates just rising in respect of the same. And then the national anthem will, of course, play once they enter. Right now, the presidents outside the hall are still doing some commemoratory tree planting exercise right now. President Macron just been shown around the grounds by Dr. William Ruto about one or two things before they enter the Taifa Hall, plenary hall. After the tree planting exercise, we do expect the two presidents to enter the hall, and then the program shall continue. Indeed, they are now slowly making their way into the hall, where we expect everything to start forthwith with the program. They will give the keynote addresses, especially the keynote address will be given by President Emmanuel Macron. As we wait for the two presidents to enter the hall, what you are seeing right now are the delegates just paving the way there, waiting, and the protocol also just making sure everything is in order as the VIPs enter. At this point, I shall indeed hand you over to Taifa Hall as the president make their way inside the hall, where we will also hear the Kenya National Police Band play the national anthem. And we continue with the program. My name is Alan Aoko. as we continue showing you these live pictures of the two presidents in the Taifa Hall here at the University of Nairobi. Welcome and enjoy this live and direct feed from the University of Nairobi.
Let us kindly take our seats. Your Excellencies, for a moment there with the national anthems, it sounded like we were in a concert, hence the claps. Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of Kenya, Your Excellency, President Emmanuel Macron. This morning, allow me to start off the program with inviting Professor Patrick to do a very brief welcome to the university before we start our panel discussions. Professor Patrick, kindly if you can come and just do the quick welcoming remarks. Let's welcome him with a clap, please. Professor, welcome.
Youthquake. For the young people in the audience, 3 things. 1, did you know every single month across Africa, 1 million young people like yourself come to the labor market? Youthquake. Number 2, did you know that only 1 of 4 of those 1 million people coming to the labor market finds a formal job? Youthquake. Number 3, did you know there are 2 global leaders this morning inaugurated the first ever science and engineering complex, combining you with industry, with research, to create what? 3 things. Jobs, jobs, jobs. And it is these 2 leaders, President Ruto, you're one of us from the University of Nairobi. Thank you so much for your leadership in driving this agenda. And it is you, President Emmanuel Macron, may I say boldly, the strongest friend of Africa. Why? By putting your money where your mouth is and delivering this science complex. Thank you so much of coming to the University of Nairobi. This initiative, finally, is not just for Nairobi. It's not even just for Kenya. It's the prototype for Africa. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you so much.
What a great way to start. Another round of applause for Professor Patrick. Your Excellencies, at this point, allow me to now hand over this particular session to Mariam Bishar. Mariam is a media personality and journalist who connects with Kenya's young audience and has experience moderating. A clap for her, please, as she comes now to take over the session. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you. It is my honor to welcome you, Rais William Samoei Ruto, His Excellency Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, and President de la République Française, Emmanuel Macron. It is my honor to welcome all of you to the Africa Forward Summit 2026. being held for the very first time in a non-Francophone country. Please give yourselves a round of applause. This is an immersive gathering of 30 plus heads of state, 1,500 plus business leaders from across the globe. But most importantly, it is also a gathering of the people that make up more than 70% of this magnifique continent we call home, young people. So over the next few days, we are going to learn, interact, network, to basically get a feel of the African continent and how it relates to France, how it relates to the world, how it relates to the West. We are breaking barriers. I hear people say that the world is no longer facing east or west, it is facing south. And I think it's time that we take our place and we act as such, right? Yes. The theme this year is Future Makers. And I like the idea of future makers. I also like to think that the future is quite possibly in the present. How many people have been told you are the leaders of the future, ever? Show of hands. Yeah. Has the future come? Yes? Yes? The future is here, right? I think the future is now, and we are future makers. It is our work to make sure that this continent and that the world interact as one. So over the next few days, I'm hoping you make a friend, you make a business partner, you network with people, you perhaps even find someone to write letters to. I don't know if we can go back to the olden days. But it is my sincere hope that you have a good time at this summit, and we will have incredibly great conversations over the next hour, especially with President Ruto and President Macron. We'll be discussing AI and innovation, and we'll get to hear from President Ruto, his insights, his expertise, his thoughts on how we can basically use AI for innovation and to make sure that we are not just, like I said, the cog in the wheel that's making AI run in the world, but not gaining anything from it. And from President Macron, he'll be on a panel discussing how we can make sure that African voices are platformed on global stages. Just before the presidents came in, I spoke of the danger of a single story, and a lot of you agreed. You've heard or seen the lecture by Chimamanda Adichie. That means that we cannot be the people who are being written about without owning the narratives, and that even as we have partners across the world, that they are part of our story, that we are collaborating as one. Am I right? Yes. All right. We'll get right into our program for the day. I will invite our first moderator. Her name is Sophia Ida. She is a journalist, a TV presenter. She's also a comms expert, and she will be walking us through. Welcome, Sophia. She will be walking us through this panel on AI and innovation. Welcome, Sophia.
Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished guests, innovators, founders, and especially the young people shaping the future of Africa. Are there some young people in the room today? Are there some young leaders in the room today? Are you a future maker? If you're a future maker, make some noise for yourself, please. This is our session. This is our time. This is our discussion. My name is Sophia Ida, international host, entrepreneur, and founder of Chic Network, which is a platform dedicated to amplifying African and diaspora voices, creativity, and innovation. So it's truly my honor to lead this conversation, talking about a subject that is deeply, deeply important for the future of our continent and the next generations. We're gathered here at a defining moment in history. By 2050, 1 person out of every 4 on Earth will be African. So the question is no longer whether Africa will participate in this technological revolution. The real question is, will Africa help build it? Artificial intelligence is expected to contribute trillions to the global economy in the next decades, while Africa's digital economy will reach nearly $700 billion by 2050. But beyond the numbers, this conversation is about something a lot more human, deeply human. It's about jobs. It's about opportunities, dignity, and sovereignty. Because for the first time in history, with just the help of a laptop, a young person in Nairobi, in Abidjan, in Johannesburg, in Douala, can train AI models in local languages, create solutions for Africa, by Africans with African technologies, can create solutions globally as well from here. This is a first, and we must pay attention to this revolution. So it's safe to say that the future of innovation is not only taking place in Silicon Valley. The future of innovation is taking place right here in Africa, in African cities, African universities, African startups, and by African youth. But this future will require courage. Courage to invest in infrastructure. Courage to trust the young entrepreneurs. Courage for us to no longer consume technology, but becoming builders, owners, and architects of it. And today we're joined by two leaders already helping shape that future. Our first speaker is one of the leading African voices in artificial intelligence today. She's not only building technology, she's helping redefine who shapes the future of AI. Through Amini, she's building sovereign AI infrastructure for Africa and the global South, enabling countries to create value from their own data, talent, and innovation. From NVIDIA to Intel to ARM, her career has been dedicated to expanding access to frontier technologies and now to position Africa at the center of AI conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage the founder and CEO of Amini, Ms. Kate Calotte. We can keep clapping for her until she takes a seat, please. Thank you so much. Our second speaker represents a new generation of builders connecting Africa through technology and entrepreneurship. As co-founder of Julaya and president of French Tech Abidjan, he's helping build the financial infrastructure powering African businesses across borders. Based in Abidjan and active across West Africa, he believes that Africa's next generation of jobs and economic champions will come from Africans building solutions for African realities. Please put your hands together for Mathias Leopoldi, co-founder of Julaya, president of French Tech Abidjan, and apparently he's a young leader de la French African Foundation. Make some noise for him. All right. Now my first question is for you, Kate. As one of Time's 100 most influential people in AI, what gives you optimism about Africa's positioning in this digital transformation that we're talking about, and what must we do now to become builders of AI instead of consumers of it?
Thank you for the question, which I think it's probably the most consequential question Africa is facing today in the age of AI. Builders or consumers? But for me, this question is deeply personal, because I am African. My parents are from the Central African Republic, but I am also French. I was born and raised in Paris. And I spent the past 15 years rising to the top of the big US corporations in AI. But I saw something that was missing. I saw the missing infrastructure for our own builders. So 4 years ago, I decided to come home. And since then, home has been Nairobi. And I'm not alone. There are generations of builders from Microsoft, from Google, from the world's top universities, including Polytechnique, who are coming back to the continent. We are not coming back because we failed there. We're coming back because we saw what was missing here, and we want to fix it. So us, alongside the homegrown builders, the millions of local innovators, we are the new face of Africa. We are young, we're connected, and we are deeply rooted. And we want to change the story of our continent. I often get asked why I left NVIDIA at the top of the AI revolution. And for me, the answer is in the statistics. Africa holds 19% of the world's population, but less than 1% of the global compute capacity. What the stat really means is that builders across many African countries, across Kampala, across Nairobi, across Bangui, are stuck at the bottom of the AI value chain. They are paid to label data and not empowered to build, forced to use and consume systems that were not designed or built by them or for them. But on the flip side, I see an opportunity to rewrite the future for ourselves. And that's why I decided to move to Kenya and found Amini 4 years ago. We transform local data into intelligence that the continent can act upon. We deploy local infrastructure that our governments can own, build, and operate locally. And today, we are very proud to announce a partnership with Foxconn and Bull to close the sovereign compute gap in Africa. We will deploy compute that is modular, that is energy efficient, and that is affordable, so that finally we can own and operate our own infrastructure. So our small company that was born out of Nairobi is now solving problems at a global scale. We've now expanded into Bridgetown, into Rio, into Manila, across the global south, because the opportunity is planetary. So you asked me what I am optimistic about. And I think I'm optimistic about our people, the generations who are coming back, who have not just studied the AI revolution, but have built it, have been inside the systems which are reshaping the world today. And the generations which have never left. I've been here, and for the past couple of years, I've learned how to master those systems. And those two give me optimism. France and Africa have something that neither of them can build alone or replicate alone. Deep talent, a tradition for strategic autonomy, and the refusal to accept that the future only belongs to those who already hold it. And for me, I hope that this is the new generation of the France-Africa relationship. I want to refuse that our builders, our future makers, have to choose between living to build or staying to build. Building from home has to be the best option for us. Imagine coupling French scientific excellence with African ingenuity. Builders in Nairobi, in Paris, building on the same infrastructure. This is us writing our own AI economy, not negotiating to be part of someone else. So Your Excellencies, as today, the decisions that you will make today and how we collaborate in the next 10 years will define what sovereignty means for centuries. Thank you. Merci. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you so much. The next question is for you, Matthias. Nowadays, an Ivorian SME paying Kenyan suppliers still routes through London or New York and pays 2 or 3 times more for the privilege. You're building the layer that changes that, right? What would it mean in real jobs and real businesses if that infrastructure existed at scale within 5 years?
Thanks, Sophie. Your Excellency, President William Ruto, Monsieur le Président de la République Emmanuel Macron, and distinguished and honored guests without protocol. Like Kate, I'm French. I'm a French entrepreneur. I have been working in West Africa for the past 10 years, based between Abidjan, Dakar, Cotonou, Lomé. And I founded an online bank to try to tackle this issue called Julaya. We often hear Africa is lagging. Africa needs to catch up, like all these narratives. But there are industries where Africa is actually leading and is actually a leader in the world. And one of those industries I want to talk about today is called mobile money and was born here in Kenya around 25 years ago. Today, mobile money empowers 1.2 billion people in Africa out of 1.6 billion people to access financial inclusion, send money, pay bills, etc. But there's a but. This revolution is not fully complete. Today, as you said, if you're a Kenyan SME, for example, you want to pay a Senegalese supplier, it takes a correspondent bank and the dollar to do it. It is not a problem of will, it is not a problem of talent, it is a problem of critical infrastructure. And this is being solved. There is a new institution called PAPS, Pan-African Payment Settlement System, which is sponsored by President Ruto, and which envisions to allow the 42 African currencies to transact with each other without going through the dollars, etc. What we envision today as youth is to be part of this revolution. And all the young leaders in this panel and in the room, we want to be part of the economic growth that will involve and that will follow this revolution. So I want to say, like, with the backing of the right banks like Proparco, BPI France, the African Development Bank, and also with the backing of the right support organization, ecosystem organization, we can make this revolution happen. And I am one of those examples. I've benefited from this funding, I've benefited from this support, and I want to tell, and with the approval from the presidents, that this is what awaits the youth today, and this is what we need to seize today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matthias. Now, Excellency Mr. President Ruto, Africa's greatest resource is not buried underground. As you can see, is the talent, is the creativity and the ambition of young people. We've spoken today about artificial intelligence, digital infrastructure, entrepreneurship, and financial innovation. But for millions of young Africans listening, the question is ultimately very simple. Will this technological revolution create opportunities they can actually access? So my final question to you is, what must African governments do differently, starting now, to ensure that the next generation of African innovators, engineers, creators, and entrepreneurs are able to fulfill their full potential, allowing them to build globally competitive companies and careers right here in Africa?
Thank you very much. And congratulations, Kate, and my good friend Matthias. Listening to you is, breath of fresh air. I mean, I could relate with everything that you said. But let me say this. For us to be able to be future ready, and I'm happy to know this morning, I am among the people who have been saying I'm neither facing west or east, I'm facing forward, but now you're telling me forward is south. So I will improve. I will now know what to say. Now, two things. One, infrastructure, and two, knowledge. Let me start with the first one. There is every reason why we should have the right knowledge acquisition. We need to fine-tune the whole ecosystem around education. In Kenya, we have had to review the education system and to make it competence-based. There was a time we were teaching, and the education was about academics and what you can cram and what you can regurgitate and what you can do. Today, we are changing that to be much more experiential, so that we get more skills, we get more competencies, and that is why 60% of our education is now targeted to STEM subjects that will inform what these two great young leaders are talking about. We have had to invest more in education, making sure that they have the right education, they have the right skills, they have the right competencies so that they can participate meaningfully. Number two is infrastructure, digital infrastructure, making sure that we have fiber optic across our countries, making sure that it is accessible, creating spaces where entrepreneurs, creatives, young people can undertake their assignments, their aspirations, and drive what these two good people have been saying. In Kenya, apart from reforming the education system, putting more money in and realigning education so that it speaks to the requirements of the now, we are also investing in digital infrastructure, fiber optic. They've just said we are manufacturing now here in Kenya a lot of digital assets, whether it is phones, whether it is computers, and all that digital infrastructure. We are laying fiber optic to 30,000 kilometers already in Kenya to make sure that every part of Kenya is in the loop. And then finally, the Ministry of ICT, and I have my minister here, is now working on how to bring the rest of the world into Kenya to experience. And I'm going to ask Kate why she chose Kenya. I would really want to know why, out of all the other countries, there must be something in Kenya that gave her, you know, there must be something. And it must be among the things I'm talking about. So making sure that some of the best companies across the world come to participate with us. Last year, Teleperformance, the largest BPO company in the world, set up office in Kenya. We have many BPO companies set up in Kenya. Why? Because we have young people with the right skills, we have the right infrastructure in terms of internet connectivity, and we have a very enterprising and entrepreneurial population. So in my opinion, this is the space in which we are operating, and I think every other country should be able to think in that direction, because the future is about technology, the future is digital, and AI is going to be at the center of it.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Please, will you favor me with Kate? Will you favor me?
We picked Kenya because of the ecosystem, like you mentioned. The ecosystem is vibrant and it's here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your remarks. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Matthias. We are closing this first panel. Thank you, everyone. And Mariam, I give you the mic to follow this day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, and Matthias, Kate as well, and Sophia for a wonderful job moderating. The fact that Kate left in NVIDIA, which makes more money on a yearly basis than a lot of nations, to come and invest back home says something that if we don't believe it ourselves, no one else will believe it, right? We have to set the precedent. And I think that's amazing. Also, what we're doing with the competency-based curriculum, as the President has said, is preparing ourselves for now and for the future. And I love that we're able to have these discussions in a room where the whole continent is represented. There we go. Speaking of representation, okay, I think we're back. Thank you, President Macron. Speaking of representation for the continent, the fact that we get to tell our own stories is also incredibly important. How we platform ourselves across the world, how we are listened to, how we are viewed, how we are perceived, that's what we're talking about in this next panel. And we will have the moderator being Aisha Toure, who is the CEO of Orange Sierra Leone. Please give Aisha a big round of applause. Let's go. And of course, His Excellency President Macron will be on her panel as well. Let me hand over to you, Aisha.
Merci, Mariam. Leurs Excellences, Monsieur Emmanuel Macron, Président de la République française, Monsieur William Ruto, Président de la République du Kenya, merci de nous offrir ce moment. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Je m'appelle Aïcha Touré, directrice générale d'Orange Sierra Leone. Je suis évolué entre la France, le Royaume-Uni, les États-Unis et maintenant la Sierra Leone. Je sais ce que signifie naviguer entre plusieurs cultures et apprendre à en faire une force. Je suis également fière de faire partie d'un groupe qui connecte aujourd'hui plus de 160 millions d'Africains à des services numériques et financiers essentiels et qui a déjà formé plus d'1,5 million de jeunes Africains à des métiers du numérique gratuitement via les Orange Digital Center. Pendant longtemps, l'Afrique a été racontée par d'autres. Aujourd'hui, des voix africaines s'imposent à travers la culture, l'entrepreneuriat, les médias, la technologie. Le narratif devient. Au fond, l'influence d'un continent ne se mesure pas uniquement à son poids économique ou politique, mais aussi à sa capacité à produire des récits, des imaginaires, des marques, de la culture et de la confiance. On peut parler de la diplomatie culturelle française, impésable pour le Kenya. Alors, comment l'Afrique transforme-t-elle aujourd'hui cette nouvelle visibilité en capacité d'influence? Jean-François et Wilfried ont des réponses concrètes. Je les invite à nous rejoindre. Jean-Wilfried Kemajou travaille depuis plusieurs années au rayonnement du continent africain à l'international. Il est notamment l'un des principaux architectes de la marque Bénin, un monde de splendeur. Qui a fait de l'image du Bénin un vrai levier d'attractivité et d'influence. Marois, entrepreneur, créatrice de contenu et animatrice télé, incarne à travers son parcours entre l'Algérie et la France une Afrique qui construit aujourd'hui des marques, des entreprises et une influence culturelle entre plusieurs mondes. Jean-Wilfried, commençons par toi. L'Afrique a souvent été enfermée dans des récits réducteurs et incomplets. Comment peut-elle sortir de ces stéréotypes et construire un récit plus juste, plus ambitieux et plus fidèle à ses réalités contemporaines?
Merci Aïcha pour la question. Tout d'abord, permets-moi de remercier son Excellence, Monsieur le Président William Ruto, ainsi que son Excellence, Monsieur le Président Emmanuel Macron, de nous accueillir aujourd'hui et de nous donner l'opportunité d'aborder un sujet aussi important. Avant d'entamer mon propos, j'aimerais vous partager un montant, 4,2 milliards de dollars. 4,2 milliards de dollars, c'est ce que perd l'Afrique chaque année en raison des stéréotypes négatifs relayés par des médias internationaux. Alors, ce montant révélé par une étude de l'ONG Africa No Filter nous démontre une chose, c'est que l'image de l'Afrique n'est plus une question de symbole. Il y a des impacts économiques concrets pour nos pays. Et donc, nous devons prendre acte de cela. Alors, soyons clairs, en Afrique, il n'y a pas de nation branding sans nation building. Nous devons bien évidemment, à côté de cette attractivité que nous devons construire, développer des secteurs essentiels à nos économies, que ce soit l'éducation, la santé, les infrastructures qui contribuent au développement de nos pays. Mais il y a une problématique aujourd'hui, c'est que beaucoup de pays africains se transforment et ne racontent pas le récit de cette transformation. Et ce qui se passe, c'est que ce récit est raconté par d'autres. Et quand ce sont d'autres qui racontent nos histoires, ce qui se passe, c'est que nous subissons des stéréotypes négatifs. Et donc, nous subissons une image dévalorisante de notre continent. Et ça, il faut le dire, les grandes puissances internationales ont su le comprendre très tôt. Et je veux prendre l'exemple de la France, qui, depuis Louis XIV et Versailles, rayonne au sein du monde. On peut prendre les États-Unis avec Hollywood, qui a su façonner nos imaginaires collectifs, ou plus récemment avec la vague Hallyu sud-coréenne, qui, je dirais, nous a, dans la salle, fait de nous des fans de la série à succès Squid Game sur Netflix. Et donc, cela démontre une chose, c'est que il y a une politique volontariste des grandes puissances sur les questions de soft power. Ce n'est pas un détail, l'image n'est pas un détail, c'est volontaire, c'est pensé, c'est acté. Il y a des investissements concrets qui permettent à ces puissances de rayonner sur la scène internationale. En Afrique, depuis de nombreuses années, encore, quand on parle du continent, on parle d'un continent empreint de guerre, d'épidémies, de maladies, empreint de pauvreté. Et je pense qu'il y a une logique sémantique que je pense que nous devons inverser, c'est celui de sortir de ce récit, de lutter contre la pauvreté pour assumer notre volonté de devenir des puissances. Parce que je pense que les pays africains... Je pense que les pays africains aujourd'hui doivent aspirer à devenir des puissances culturelles, des puissances technologiques, des puissances économiques. Et que ce récit a déjà commencé. L'Afrique n'est pas le continent du futur, mais bien du présent. Et donc moi, j'aimerais aussi vous partager une expérience personnelle, parce que le Bénin, depuis plusieurs années, est dans cette transformation. Et au Bénin, berceau du vaudou, le pays a voulu justement sortir de ces stéréotypes négatifs. Parce que quand on parle du vaudou, et je sais déjà dans la salle qu'on se dit « oulala, la magie noire, la sorcellerie, qu'est-ce qui se passe ?» Eh bien, ça, c'est le résultat de ces années, de ces décennies, de ce siècle justement de stéréotypes négatifs. Le vaudou, ce n'est pas cela. Le vaudou, c'est notre spiritualité, c'est ce que nous sommes au plus profond de nous-mêmes. Et donc, sous la supervision de son Excellence le Président de la République, Patrice Talon, il a fait le choix assumé, avec fierté, de revendiquer justement ce patrimoine inestimable. Et je veux ici donner un exemple concret, celui des Vaudou Days, qui est aujourd'hui devenu le plus grand rassemblement autour des arts, de la culture et de la spiritualité vaudou autour du monde. La première édition, il y a 3 ans, nous avons eu 97 000 participants. Il y a quelques mois, en janvier, nous avons eu 700 000 participants en 3 jours à Ouida. Cela démontre une chose, c'est que quand un pays assume son patrimoine, décide de maîtriser son récit, eh bien ça marche. Ça marche économiquement, ça marche touristiquement, et ça marche aussi dans la réappropriation de cette fierté en tant qu'Africains. Aujourd'hui, les Béninois le diront, ils sont fiers d'être Béninois et de revendiquer cela. Et donc, je dirais, cet exemple qui est très parlant me permet de répondre à ta question, Aïcha, autour de la solution. Eh bien, en présence justement des chefs d'État et bien évidemment du public ici présent, j'aimerais partager une proposition très concrète que j'ai eu la chance de proposer dans une tribune il y a quelques années. C'est celui de créer la marque Afrique. Je pense que le moment est venu pour nous d'avoir une marque Afrique, parce que je pense que sur cette terre, aucun continent n'a besoin de travailler son attractivité d'une manière aussi intense que le continent africain. Cette marque, selon moi, doit suivre l'agenda 2063 de l'Union africaine, qui est déjà très clair, autour justement des axes de développement du continent. Et cette marque également doit pouvoir associer institutions financières, États, société civile, autour d'une entité qui nous permettra enfin de reprendre la main sur notre narratif et bien sûr de valoriser notre continent sur la scène internationale. Je vous remercie.
Merci Jean-Wilfried. Marois, des millions de jeunes femmes te suivent aujourd'hui à travers les réseaux sociaux parce qu'elles se reconnaissent dans ton parcours. Toi qui vis entre 2 continents, 2 cultures, quel rôle la diaspora peut-elle jouer pour changer le regard sur l'Afrique? Et à travers ton parcours, comment as-tu ressenti ce besoin de contribuer au développement économique de ton pays d'origine?
Merci beaucoup Aïcha pour cette question. Avant ça, permets-moi de remercier l'organisation pour l'invitation, l'Assemblée ici présente.
For the invitation, and clearly to their excellencies, thank you for being at the source of this initiative. It's very humbling to be here next with you. This event is very important symbolically as a young Algerian woman. To be able to represent young people from the North African diaspora is a true honor. I apologize, I'm very nervous. Thank you. So I'll tell you about my path. I was born in Algeria. I stayed there until I was 5 years old, and then I moved to France. So we have some fans of Algeria in the room. So as I was saying, I continued my trajectory in France, and I struggled with my identity for some time. I considered it as a disability, and now I see it as my strength. And I think it's important for our diaspora to understand 2 realities. What are international ambitions and what are the possibilities on the African continent? Throughout my education, I went to an engineering school, which was extremely demanding and very tiring. But it was my release. I needed a release, and my release was social media. And on social media, I was able to talk about my culture, my 2 cultures, and I was able to speak to those who are like me and who look like me, and to represent them. And this has enabled me to pursue incredible opportunities to work with international leaders in retail and
malgré toutes ces opportunités, j'ai toujours ressenti un vide et une volonté très très forte de devenir une valeur ajoutée pour mon pays natal, l'Algérie. Et c'est pour ça que depuis 3 ans, avec mon mari, nous développons plusieurs business sur plein de secteurs différents, la restauration, l'immobilier et notamment l'industrie, avec l'ouverture d'une cuisine de produits de cosmétiques made in Algeria et aussi avec la création de notre marque, la première marque premium de maquillage en Algérie. Et avec ce projet,
in Algeria. And so beyond beauty, my desire was to make something in Algeria, in Africa. And we want to rival international competitors, and it's important not to establish oneself on the international scene. My intention, along with my husband, was to contribute to the local economy, to create, to invest, to create jobs, and to provide an economic added value and to export to the EU. And that is our role as part of the African diaspora. That is to say, we're here to build bridges, economic bridges, cultural bridges, human bridges. And to answer your question, Aisha, our generation, in my opinion, have an essential role to play for the future, to change the perception of Africa, to show Africa's potential. And a message I would have to send to African youth is to believe in your ambitions, believe in your dreams, and above all, never forget that your identity never forget that your identity does not hold you back, but rather it is your biggest strength. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank
Croire
you.
en ses rêves, croire en son
Believe in your
identité.
dreams, believe
Monsieur
in
le Président,
your identity.
Jean-Wilfried et Marois
Mr.
viennent de
President,
montrer
Jean-Wilfried and Marwa have just demonstrated that a new African generation is building its own narrative, its own brand, its own influence. So here in this room we have builders, entrepreneurs, creators. What message do you send to this generation? There are artists in the room as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your welcome, not just here to Nairobi, but also to your alma mater, your university. And thank you to the university for their hospitality. I really wanted to continue to listen to these discussions because I'm becoming a veteran in this mission. I've been working on this for 9 years, and my intention is to change a number of things when it comes to the relationship between France, Europe, and Africa. And it was quite formidable to listen to all four of you because you spoke very wisely. And whilst I was listening to you, I realized that we should let you lead the way, in fact. More seriously, I think that the battle we have is multifold. So why do we need to change the content? Well, this type of summit usually begins with a meeting between African and European leaders, and the European leaders, or French leaders, would come and explain to African leaders. And perhaps they would involve civil society. They'd say, we've taken a look at your situation, this is what's good for you, and we'll help you. And I think that this is no longer what Africa needs or what Africa wishes to hear. The President said yesterday that we don't want this anymore. We don't need you to help us. And this is good because we don't necessarily have the resources to do so, if I'm to be 100% clear. And it creates many tensions. We talk about helping people, and then this may lead to problems, etc. Well, Africa is succeeding. It is the youngest continent in the world. It's the continent which has the highest growth in the world. All Africa needs is investment to be more sovereign. This was mentioned earlier on. And we want to be partners on an equal level because we have the same mission to carry out in Europe. And that is what is at stake here. And we're beginning this Africa Forward Summit by listening to you, the youth of the African continent, to tell you, these are our dreams, these are our ambitions, this is what we're doing. And we can say, well, we have investments to make. It's wise for you, it's good for us, and we can work together to do this. Our challenges are very similar. Our challenges are the challenges you've described, whether it pertains to technology, AI, payment systems, or whether it's about the creative and cultural industries. And narratives, as you said quite rightly. So we have a shared challenge.
Consumer and builders. And it is exactly the same. Because a lot of solutions are made in the US or made in China. And when you speak about artificial intelligence, okay, a lot of us today are consumers. So I think we have a common fight, a common battle together of investment, which is to build our strategic autonomy for Europe and Africa. And if we build it together, we will be much stronger. So we need infrastructure. And this challenge of building infrastructure is exactly the same in Europe. Computing capacities. Okay, if we want to make infrastructure, let's invest together. In order to do so, and this is a challenge, by the way, that President Ruto is facing here and fixing, this is the energy challenge. No chance to build any AI infrastructure and computing capacities without energy. So we have to build much more energy facilities, renewables, nuclear, in order to deploy electrification of our common use in Europe, electrification for households and companies in Africa, but in order to build additional capacities and computing capacities, first challenge. And to build foundational models and companies on that. Everything, when we speak about infrastructure, is about sovereignty. And this partnership between Amini, Bull, and Foxconn, for me, is a perfect example of this sovereignty, this common sovereignty story. African, European, and Taiwanese company. All of us have to face this challenge of sovereignty and reducing our dependencies. So it's super smart. So let's rush on infrastructure, and it's true for AI, it's true for payment system, and I want to commend you for what you do with this Pan-African settlement system. I think it's super smart, and you're right to say that you are leading in terms of mobile payment, and we are very proud for Orange and some companies to be part of this game. The second key challenge we have to face together is about talents. In Europe, and especially in France, we do educate and train a lot of talents. Our key challenge is to provide jobs for them and to make sure that they stay and don't move. I have to say I was despaired a few years ago when I saw that so many talents of AI in Silicon Valley were in fact educated in France, data scientists or mathematicians. Now they are starting to come back because we have great leaders and we are building clearly the leadership in Europe of AI and quantum capacities. And it is exactly the same challenge in Africa. And you were right. You have to train more, and I'm super proud of what we are doing here with the investment of the French Agency for Development and the university to build on STEM and AI, new capacities, new partnerships with our best universities. And this is exactly what we want to do through the continent. How to educate and train more and more talents to make sure that they will be trained here in the best education system, with the best partnership, and they will stay and help the country to develop and help the continent to develop. And this is why we will expand these partnerships between our universities and the African universities. We will accelerate this trend of investment, and this is why I want to thank our companies to clearly accompany this work on Orange during this summit. We'll announce, thank you, Christelle, this 50 digital centers. I think this is extremely powerful, with 1 million young African people being trained through this Orange Digital Center by 2030. And a few years ago, we built Digital Africa whose objective is to connect digital ecosystems. And this is part of this training capacities for your talents, but as well how to make sure that the ecosystem will enlarge and talents will stay. Et le dernier défi pour être pleinement souverain, c'est exactement ce que vous avez dit et ce que vous avez parfaitement décrit l'un et l'autre.
You said quite rightly. You described this perfectly. You talked about narrative. And we know that it is the winner that writes history. And the work that we're currently doing, and we'll come back to this later on in the day when we talk about cultural restitution, but we're currently reinventing the balanced partnership with the African continent by returning cultural objects. But there's also a contemporary narrative to write. And this narrative can be written by others with a backward-looking view, or by others. It's important that this narrative is written by Africans. Otherwise, the narrative won't be the right narrative. And it's also a question of sovereignty, because this perception enables you to multiply your strengths. It's history that we're writing. This will give you a greater ability to forge ahead. It will attract investments. If you have the right narrative, then you will appeal to people who wish to take part. It's about soft power. So it's just as important as infrastructure and talent. You have to have the right narrative. And this narrative enables us to ensure that culture, technology, and the economy are taken as one. However, it's important for this narrative to be written by Africans. And if this is done, then it will have a multiplying effect. And that's why I'm extremely impressed by the example of Benin. It's a brilliant example because it is a success story which has gone via culture and the economy. And I'm very impressed by what the continent is currently doing. There is a positive Pan-Africanism that is at play. And often times, we have associated Pan-Africanism to something which was negative, to negative stereotypes. However, this Pan-Africanism of your generation is positive and is fair. It enables you to build your continent, to take up challenges, to attract investment, and to say that I don't want solutions to be imposed by other countries. I want to help my country develop, and I want to help my continent to develop, and I want to make these choices.
And our role, I will finish with this, is not to offer aid. It is just to say, wow, we also need to do the same for ourselves. I said, France has always been this. We are a nation that has always been seen as a great nation. I have said and repeated this oftentimes. France has always dreamed big. We have built this story for ourselves for many years, and this is what has made the two reasons for us in this summit to be here. First, we want that our companies and the government of France to invest by your side, because we know it will work, and that the African story is a big story, is a great story, and that when you look at Europe and Africa, there is an evidence, and that this fight for sovereignty, technological sovereignty, AIT sovereignty, quantum sovereignty is common. If you fail, we do not have any chance. If you fail, your youth will leave Africa and will no longer solve migration. We need you to succeed because it's good for France and Europe. There's a positive story to build. It is incredible for the 21st century that you'll build your story. We will do it also on our end, and we'll do it hand in hand. Secondly, we have a common destiny. We have a common destiny. You said something that probably you have a story that wasn't so good. There are millions of young people in France who are from the diaspora as yourself. And for many years we told them, sorry, that you're from the diaspora or you come from this particular country and you'd like to be forgotten. No, you are 100% French and 100% from Algeria. You have your dual nationality, and we need you, because that is a boost for us in France to have young people like you, Marwa, who are Franco-Algerian, Franco-Central African, and who would like to develop the world and conquer further frontiers, and who work with us. This is really important for us, so be proud of being member of diaspora, of being French and of being African, and that's why I'm here. Because in my country, and I've told it to my Kenyan counterparts who do not know it much, there are millions of young people who are totally French and totally African. And it's a great honor and luck for their countries. I will stop here, therefore, Madam Moderator, but
builders of this common future. And I'm extremely happy to see how proud and solution-driven you are when you speak about your own future. And this is why I'm here. I do believe in the future of Africa. I do believe in the future of your country, William. And I am leader of a country who wants to be part of that, who wants to invest here, who is very proud of our own past and future. But this partnership, this balanced, generous, lucid, and equal partnership is precisely how we will frame and build our common future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our moderator, Aisha. Thank you, President Macron, and Marwa, and Jean-Wilfred. Please give them a round of applause. And I love the emphasis, President Macron, on the fact that you can be both, that it doesn't have to be one or the other, and this emphasis on sovereignty as well. I'll also say that something that Jean-Wilfred said about the brand Africa is definitely conversations that I've been hearing happen, and I can't wait to see a time when Muranga tea from Kenya has the same brand recognition that champagne from France has, right? That fish from Lake Victoria has the same brand recognition that salmon from Norway has, right? And we're getting there. We will get there if we continue to have these conversations, but also get something tangible out of them. I know the fear of summits sometimes is that it's talk and there's nothing concrete, but there will be concrete action points from this Africa Forward Summit, and I think that's an amazing thing. We're just about to get into a presentation on a white paper about Africa and innovation in democracy. But before we go there, I think music is something that brings people together, and if there is a song that I feel brings France and Kenya together, and the continent as a whole, is Premier Gawo. Anyone heard it? Mr. DJ, I think we just need a little taste of Premier Gawo. You can move on your seat if you feel a little bit. Yeah. Hey. All right. Thank you, Mr. D. Okay. Oh, we're ready to dance. Okay. Let's Thank you, Mr. DJ. Thank you. I just wanted you to get up a bit. I think I'm correct that Premier Gawo brings Africa and France together. Does it not? It really does. We are talking next about innovation in democracy, and Professor Achille Mbembe is a historian. He's a political scientist. He is someone who has done a lot of work researching what democracy for Africa looks like. Sometimes we make copy-paste systems without thinking, how do I make this work for me? So he's presenting a white paper on what innovation in African democracy looks like. Please help me give a warm round of applause and a welcome to Professor Achille Mbembe.
did prepare some formal remarks, but the atmosphere in this room, I think, invites for something a bit more spontaneous. Especially after President Ruto and my dear friend Emmanuel's speech. I had the feeling that he could be a very good candidate for a presidential election in an African country. So I knew, I have seen him in action a few times, and I'm very happy that I was able to witness the same energy, the same intelligence, and the same commitment to our continent and to the idea of a common world. He ended with that. I was also delighted to listen to President Ruto and to hear about the efforts he has been engaged in making of Kenya a place where no African feel like a stranger. All that we heard from President Ruto and Emmanuel, we heard it yesterday. The same joy, the same passion, the same energy was expressed yesterday during a pavilion. The Innovation Foundation for Democracy, the Paris Peace Forum, and the International Commission for Jurists, Kenyan section, we held at another university, Strathmore University, not far from here indeed. And what we are bringing to you this time is in the form of a book. I won't be summarizing the book here. The book contains no less than 60 proposals, which are not proposals for governments, which are not proposals for business, which are proposals for all, beginning with civil society organizations themselves, in the full knowledge that these days governments, business, and civil society and communities have to work together. There's no other way. And that we have to basically invest, as we heard this morning, in our communities and societies' resources, in their strengths, being inclusive, if we are to address the challenges ahead of us. I'll end these very quick comments with one word which came to me as I was listening to the conversation we have had this morning. When it comes to telling the world what Africa is all about. I will say it in French because I really haven't found a proper translation in English. I hope that the translators will do their job. L'Afrique est une réserve de puissance et une puissance en réserve. I believe that that's what I heard this morning, and I would like to leave it at that. So this is the book. Voilà. It's a lot of reading for the two presidents, but since they read so well, I'm sure that they go through it. Thank you very much, and excellent. Let's see.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you so much, Professor Achille. Thank you. Please give him a round of applause. And please give President Ruto and President Macron a warm round of applause. for co-hosting this summit. This is just the beginning. This is day one. I cannot wait to see what the next 2 days bring. Now we'll take a quick photo session, but I'll hand over to Mike to run us through the photo session. There'll also be a video playing just to give you a historic look at the relationship between France and Kenya. It's going from Ouagadougou to Nairobi. We'll play that in just a minute, but let me hand over to Mike. We'll have a quick session with the panelists, a photo session, just so we can get everyone in the picture, and then we'll hand over to the video from Ouagadougou to Nairobi. Mike?
All right, thank you. A clap for Mariam, please, for moderating us very well. Thank you. Your Excellencies, I'll just request that we step forward. I'll request that the panelists may also join the presidents for the photo session. Just initially the first panelist, please. Just the ones who spoke. Yes. The two sets that spoke. Mariam, you can also join in the photo, please. Try not to dance so that we can get the picture. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, that brings us to the end of this session, and we'll then request that we all be upstanding as we then allow the two heads of state to exit and go to the cultural experience. Feel free to give them a warm clap, even for their time and for joining us this morning. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Let's all stay in place as the presidents leave. Let's all stay in place, please. All right, just a kind request that we all stay in place as the presidents leave. And we'll shortly be seeing a video on France-Kenya relationships from Ouagadougou to Nairobi. Please also...
Indeed, welcome to Taifa Hall. This is where we've seen President Dr. William Ruto and the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, just speaking to the youth. This was a high-level youth engagement forum where we saw startup entrepreneurs in technology and further afield just speaking to the president and telling the presidents and telling them about their challenges. They spoke about some of the issues that affect the youth in technology and in business here in the continent and further afield. And President Ruto did say that we need to fine-tune issues, especially in education. The president said that the country, Kenya, is changing to a more experiential kind of education where we have we emphasize more on skills rather than cramming of texts for any exam. He did say how Kenya is making sure that children have the right skills and competences, and he further went on to add that Kenya has also made sure that we have the right infrastructure such as fiber optic connectivity to make sure everyone is able to drive their aspirations forward. Kenya is also looking to add more education to also education based made through digital connectivity, or rather supplemented and complemented through digital connectivity. by investing through digital assets such as data centers, fiber optics, and computers, and so on in that sector. Kenya is also working through the Ministry of ICT on how it can bring the best companies in the world to set base in Kenya. The president saying that it is no chance that major companies in the world are here. Indeed, that has been just a recap of what has been going on here at the Taifa Hall at the University of Nairobi, where we are bringing you live pictures on all platforms, including the digital platform KBC Digital and KBC Plus online. We now hand you over back to studio as we continue to bring you this live event throughout the day. My name is Alan Auko. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Well, for the first time in the history of the Africa-France Summit, it's being held in an Anglophone country. This is the first one, and of course, more than 30 heads of state are converging here in Nairobi for this critical meeting, which is going to discuss, among others, how to restructure the global financial architecture, as well as green energy, and of course, deepening relations between Africa and France. Nairobi is going to be the host. This meeting is going to be huge. And that's why we have on set the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Musalia Mudavadi. He's going to break it down for us, what this means for us as a nation, and what do we expect out of this meeting. Thank you very much indeed, Waziri, for your time. First of all, help us understand what a moment is this for Nairobi to be chosen, for Kenya to be picked up to host this meeting?
Well, it's a very significant recognition for us, and it speaks to the capacity of Kenya to convene critical international gatherings. Now, on May 11th and 12th, we are going to have the Africa Forward Summit being held here in Nairobi at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. This is the primary venue, but there'll also be activities taking place at the University of Nairobi for the Business Forum, and we also have concerts lined up in Kasarani at the gymnasium during this two-day period. So this event or gathering or summit brings together 30 heads of state and government, plus about 4,000 plus delegates, and about 1,500 to 2,000 people who will participate in the business forum. So this is a very, very important event, and it's being jointly co-chaired by Kenya, under President William Ruto, and Emmanuel Macron, President of France. So we have a very eventful week. Next 2 days come ahead of us. Yes.
I know this meeting is going to address 7 thematic areas, and one of them is green energy transition. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, this is a very critical thing. One, Kenya already has 93% of its energy from the green sources. That is largely geothermal, wind, and solar. So in terms of what we have achieved, Kenya is way ahead of many other countries because we want to break away or move away from the fossil fuels. Now, the other thing is to be able to talk more about green industrialization, to also talk about how Africa can also benefit more from green financing, the carbon credits, and so forth. As you will recall, not too long ago, President William Ruto chaired the KAHOSK, You know, the meeting here on climate matters for the African Union.
The African Climate Summit.
And the Nairobi Declaration has become a blueprint for Africa on matters of climate change. So that was a very significant development. So we equally know that in this meeting, the resolutions that come out of here will carry far and wide. And one of the most immediate places is that France happens to be taking over the chairmanship of the G7.
Yeah.
And there'll be a meeting in Evian in June in France.
Yeah.
And President William Ruto, on behalf of Kenya, has been invited. So clearly, this meeting is very timely in the sense that the narrative, the agenda that emanates from this meeting can be part of the broader global conversation. That, I think, is important. And then the final thing I would say is that the whole issue about diversified energy has become even more important because we are now beginning to see the impact of the Middle East conflict on the energy supply chain globally.
We know that France is, of course, a leader in nuclear energy, and I know Kenya, on its part, is planning also to establish nuclear power plants. Is this a conversation that we are likely to pick up with France to help us with expertise as well as funding?
Absolutely. These are some of the areas that will be canvassed in the round table that will be focusing around this thematic area. So you're absolutely right.
You see, when you look at France, it was one of the countries, it was one of the first countries to recognize Kenya's independence back in 1963. But when you look at the trade between the two countries, this is heavily skewed towards France. As the Minister in charge of Foreign Affairs, what message are you going to pass to France to see how more they can deepen their investment in Kenya?
I think we are closing in. It's almost evenly balanced. Kenya has made some very significant advances in the sense that we are able to export primarily to Europe. It's one of our biggest destinations, and France is one of the countries that is party to this. And also some of their, as you heard earlier when the ambassador was speaking, there are close to 200 French companies that have invested in this country. All right, so that is significant. But apart from that, Kenya signed the EPA, the Economic Partnership Agreement with the European Union. And France is a member of the European Union. So the benefits that are defined in the EPA to allow quota-free and to allow duty-free access to the market in Europe includes France. So it is for us now to capitalize on that framework and be able to move forward.
And of course, when you look at the portfolio of the product that we export to France or to Europe, it's primarily agricultural raw product. There will be a meeting between investors, business people, as well as policymakers. What kind of conversations do you expect to come out of that meeting?
The conversation we want is that we want more manufacturing done in Africa. We want more value addition done in Africa. This is really the conversation we should be having. All right? It's not just about extraction. It's not just about extraction of raw materials, whether mineral or agri-waste. We want to be able to send a message that we want more manufacturing of pharmaceuticals. We want more manufacturing of different products. We want more manufacturing taking place on the African continent so that we create more jobs here. All right? We want to export more rather than have more people migrating to Europe. it should be our commodities that should be crossing the seas to the markets in Europe. That is what we want to achieve.
And of course, the French President, Emmanuel Macron, will be coming to Kenya with a delegation of more than 200 investors. And Kenya has established the PPP Directorate, whereby it is offering ready for investment a project. Do we have ideas of projects that we are willing to market to the French so that they can invest in?
I think in the thematic areas that we talked about, there are several opportunities that will be made available for conversation. And our Ministry of Trade and Investment is well placed to drive this conversation. And I'm sure at the end of the business forum, there'll be some announcements where some partnerships have been conceived, and we'll be looking forward to good progress. So I think there'll be a lot of opportunity. What is also important is that this is an opportunity for the private sector, business-to-business conversation to take place. All right? It's not just about business and government. The framework that we are creating under the Business Forum is for the businesses to engage directly, face to face. In Kiswahili, they say ana kwa ana.
Bega kwa bega. Very well. Let's also talk about one of President Dr. William Ruto's pet project, that is restructuring the global financial structures. I know this is also one of the topics that is going to be discussed here. What do you expect to come out of that conversation? Or what do we expect to tell French investors?
I think we want Africa to be rated properly. They have been looking at Africa as a high-risk investment destination. Sometimes the world rating agencies tend to rate us from their perspective. So we want Africa, Kenya included, to have fair and realistic ratings. Our asset base sometimes has been undervalued when you are rating Africa and African countries. So these are things that need to be corrected. We want to be able to get African countries to access more in terms of green financing. This is important. And above all, we would like Africa to be able to access the international markets at interest rates that are not punitive to the African nations. Yes.
And of course, I mean, you're having, tens of heads of state from Africa also coming in for this meeting, and I know the African Union has been pushing to have a table in the United Nations. Is this also a conversation that you're likely to advance with France being one of the permanent members of the UN?
Yes, in the peace and security conversation, there'll be a round table on peace and security. We are going to advance our interests on how we would wish the United Nations to be reformed, so that it is more inclusive and so that it recognizes Africa better. As you know, Kenya is a member of the Committee of 10, the C10 nations for the African Union, whose responsibility is to champion the reform of the UN Security Council, so that Africa can have two permanent seats on the UN Security Council. So this is one of the areas that we shall be canvassing.
And of course, the 2 days that this meeting is going to be here, what should Kenyans expect at the end of this meeting?
I think what we need to expect here is that we are laying the foundation for durable and sustainable partnerships, and we want a program that will evolve, and so that after a 5-year period, 10-year period, and so forth, we can see very, very serious expanded investments on the African continent, but more so for Kenya. I think the thing we need to advise our people is that this is a build-up to bigger things.
Yeah.
Sometimes people tend to say, we want instant coffee. This summit is not about instant coffee. This summit is about creating an opportunity for sustainable, long-term engagement for the Kenyan people, so that jobs can be created. We can have more income on the African continent and for Kenya. And we can then uplift the livelihood of the citizens of this country.
And finally, before I let you go, Bwana Waziri, at the end of this meeting, there will be the Nairobi Declaration, which will be a document that is going to contain the aspirations of this meeting. What do you expect to be in that document?
First of all, before we go there, if we were to just look at it also in terms of growing tourism, okay, and the number of delegates that will be in town, this is also very important for us in terms of the service industry, the resources that they will leave here as people who are visiting Kenya and Nairobi for maybe the first time for some of them. So there are some immediate spin-offs, but we want to look more at the long term. I think what I expect from the declaration is a firm and united and more coherent African narrative. All right? We have to tell our story. We have to define our objectives. We have to tell the world where we want to go. Okay? And to me, this is what should be the anchor of our declaration. It's not about Africa being told what to do. We are now of age as a continent. We must now define our priorities. We must now shape our partnerships. Okay, so this is really what I believe should be weaved into the declarations that come out of it.
Very good. Anything else do we need to hear from you?
I think what I would say is that the teams, that is the Kenyan team through the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, has worked very well with their French counterparts, and I want to commend all these teams for working tirelessly to bring this together, and also for the whole of government approach, which has enabled interaction, multi-agency approaches to ensuring that this convention, this summit, the Africa Forward Summit, succeeds. Yes.
Very good. And of course, we must appreciate the fact that it's a very well organized event, and of course, there's a lot of work that has gone behind the scenes to ensure that this meeting becomes a success.
Absolutely.
We appreciate your time, and thank you very much indeed for swinging by and talking to us, Bwana Waziri.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, we've been talking to the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, and of course helping us understand what is at stake for Kenya when it comes to organizing the Africa Forward Summit, which is being hosted by Kenya and France. Remember, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation is the official broadcaster for this meeting, and of course we have lined up an extensive coverage of this meeting to ensure that you are updated on what's happening here. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Thank you very much for your time.